The sweat chopped his eyes, but Maria Hernandez did not dare to let go of the helmet. Texas's sun fell like a hammer on construction steel, and every step it took over the beam sounded like a challenge. "Surely you know what you do, Princess asterisk." The voice of Buck Morrison cut the air more velocitable than a mountain range. 40 years building skyscrapers, arms like oak trunks, and a smile that promised problems. His workers stopped working. Silence weighed more than concrete. Maria pressed the plans against the chest. His heart was beating so strong that he feared everyone listened to him. "I am the project architect, Mr. Morrison." "Architect?" Buck spat on the ground. "My grandmother also knew how to draw flowers on paper." The laughter of the workers surrounded her as vultures. Maria felt her grandmother's rosary in her pants pocket. "Santa Teresa, give me strength. The plans are approved by." "The plans are one thing, Meja star. Buck approached so much that she could smell the tobacco in her breath. "This is another. A woman can't do this." The 20 ounces hammer hung from the Buck belt like a threat. Maria stared at him. "Can I see it?" "See what?" "Your hammer." Buck let out a laugh that echoed throughout the structure. "For what? Are you going to hang pictures?" But something in Maria's eyes made him doubt. There was fire there. Fire that I didn't expect. "Let me try," she whispered. The wind took the words, but they all listened to them. Buck unhooked the hammer of his belt as if it were a sacred ritual. The spent wooden handle shone with years of use, marked by calluses and brute force. "This weighs more than you load in your lunch girl." He dropped him into Maria's hands. The weight surprised her. It was not just iron and wood. It was history. It was power. It was the weight of all the "you can't" that I had heard since I was little. His fingers closed around the handle. "That beam from there," Buck pointed to a crooked structure 5 meters high. "It is poorly placed. You have to straighten it with blows. If not, the whole floor falls apart." Maria looked up. The steel beam had folded during installation. "A job for experts. Un trabajo peligroso." "It has to be precise," Buck continued, enjoying every word. "A badly given blow and you can kill someone." "Do you sure you want to play?" The workers formed a circle. Some took phones. Others bet in a low voice. Maria felt her eyes like knives. "My God, guide my hands." He began to climb the metal staircase. Each step sounded like a prayer. The wind moved his loose hair. He had lost his league when Buck had intimidated her. "Maria, be careful." Luis shouted, the only worker who had been kind to her. "That beam is loose." Buck silenced him with a look. "No one helps her. If you want to play like men, you fix them alone." Maria reached the beam. The steel shone under the ruthless sun. I could see the curvature, the exact point where I needed to hit. His dad had taught him as a child, everything has its weak point, Meja star. You just have to find it. He raised the hammer. The first blow resonated as a thunder. Clang. The vibration toured his entire arm, but the beam did not move. The murmurs below intensified. Maria listened to a drowned laugh. "No, not yet." He breathed deep. The hot air burned his lungs. At his feet, the concrete waited like an open grave. A fall from there did not forgive. Second blow. Stronger. Clang. The beam trembled, but remained crooked. Sweat slipped on his forehead, mixing with tears of frustration that refused to spill. "Not in front of them." "Give it, architect asterisk." Someone shouted from below. "Teach us how it is done." The laughter filled the air. Buck crossed his arms, his smile wider than the Rio Grande. "The show was good. Get off before you hurt." But Maria did not go down. He closed his eyes and for a moment, he was no longer in that construction. He was in his father's workshop in San Antonio, seeing how he straightened metal with patience and precision. "It's not brute force, Mika asterisk," he had told him. "It's finding the rhythm. Metal has memory. You have to remind you who commands." He opened his eyes. He studied the beam as if it were a map. He found the exact point, not where it seemed weaker, but where the tension was concentrated. Third blow. This time it was different. He did not hit stronger, he hit smarter. The hammer found the sweet point of steel. Clang. The beam moved. Only 1 centimeter, but moved. The silence below changed. It was no longer mockery. It was expectation. Fourth blow. In the same exact place, the beam straightened with a metallic groan that sounded like an apology. Maria clung to the structure, breathing as if there was a marathon. He had succeeded. The beam was perfect, but when he looked down, he saw Buck Morrison's face, and he knew that the real problem was just beginning. Maria lowered the staircase with trembling legs, but kept her head up. The hammer weighed differently in his hand now, he was no longer alien. It was his. Buck was waiting for her at the foot of the stairs, her red face as cooked brick. It was luck, he growled. It was technical, Maria replied, extending the hammer. Thank you for lending it to me, but Buck did not take it. Her small eyes studied her as if she were a mathematical problem that she could not solve. Luis, suddenly bordered. Take the architect to know the project. Teach everything. Luis seemed as surprised as Maria. Everything, boss, everything. Every tube, every cable, every click screw. Buck approached Maria until she could tell the freckles in her nose. I want to see if you really know what this is about, or if you only came to do your show. The tour began in the basement. Luis guided her by concrete tunnels that smelled of moisture and fear. The pipes ran like veins through the roof, leading life to the building that was born. Buck had never done this, Luis murmured as they checked the electrical connections. Normally the architects stay in their offices with air conditioning. I am not like the other architects, I already realized. 3 hours went by touring each floor. Maria took notes, asked questions, said inconsistencies between the plans and reality. His Spanish mixed with technical English, creating a language that only the builders understood. On the 7th floor, they found the first real problem. This wall is wrong, Maria said, playing a structure that was supposed to be temporary. According to my calculations, you cannot bear the weight of the upper beams. Luis paled. Buck said it was fine. The engineer's calculations were very conservative. The calculations are right. The wall is wrong. They were silent, listening to the wind whistle among the metal structures. In the distance, Maria could see Buck shouting orders to other workers. If you are right, Luis whispered, and that wall fails, the whole building falls down, Luis pursued. What are we going to do? Maria felt the weight of the responsibility to fall on her shoulders like a concrete slab. It wasn't just his career what was at stake. They were lives. Let's talk to Buck. Are you crazy? It's going to destroy you. Maria touched the rosary in her pocket. Virgin of Guadalupe, protectans, so that it destroys me. But I will not let anyone die for their pride. The coming confrontation would make the hammer look like a children's game. Buck Morrison was eating a ham sandwich when Maria and Luis approached. He chewed slowly, like a cow ruminating, his eyes fixed on the extended planes on an impromptu table. Chief, Luis began, we have a problem. The only problem here is that I lost the morning with games. Buck did not look up. Did your tourist tour have finished? Maria dropped her notes on the table, spreading the Buck plans. Several leaves flew with the wind. The wall of the 7th floor will collapse. Now he looked up. His eyes won as stones. Sorry, you listened to her. Maria pointed out the structural calculations. You put a temporary wall where a permanent column should go. When you install the beams of the 8th floor, the entire structure will give in. Buck stood up so fast that the plastic chair flew out. Who chingados believes you are to come to tell me how to build? I am the architect who will save your butt from a millionaire demand. Buck's sandwich fell to the ground. The nearby workers stopped simulating that they were not listening. I've been building since before you were born, girl star. I lived half Houston with these hands, and I studied 6 years to understand exactly why those buildings do not fall. Maria displayed a leaf full of equations. Do you see these numbers? They are the difference between a building and a grave. Buck wrinkled the blade with one hand, his white knuckles of fury. Paper numbers. This is real world, Princess Star. Here what matters is the experience. Experience without knowledge is just an elegant way to repeat the same mistakes. It was as if Maria had slapped her mother. Buck stayed motionless, processing the insult. The ladder stretched as barbed wire, then it exploded. Out of my work. His cry echoed throughout the construction. The hammers stop. The mountains were silent. Even the wind seemed to contain himself. I don't want to see you even in painting. Go back to your office and let us work those we know. Maria did not move. His heart hit like a hydraulic hammer, but his feet were planted in concrete as roots. I'm not leaving. What did you say? I'm not leaving. Not until you fix that wall. Buck approached so much that Maria could see the red veins in her eyes. It smelled of sweat, tobacco, and something more dangerous, wounded pride. You make a very big mistake, Mexicanita star. But Maria was no longer the frightened woman in the morning. The hammer had changed it. The truth had changed it. You make the mistake, Buck. And when that building falls, you will not be able to blame anyone else. The threat was floating in the air like a storm cloud. That night, Maria couldn't sleep. He stayed in his small Austin apartment, surrounded by structural engineering books and cold coffee cups. His laptop showed computer simulations that confirmed his fears. The wall of the 7th floor would not resist. At 3 a.m., his phone rang. Maria? It was Luis, whispering. You have to come. Now. What happened? Buck is working at night. He wants to finish the 8th floor before you arrive tomorrow. Maria felt that the world staggered. If you put those beams without reinforcing the wall, I know. But I don't listen to me. He says you're an alarmist. You just want to create problems. Maria was already wearing the phone tight between the shoulder and the ear. How many men are working? 12. In the night shift, 12 lives. 12 families. 12 men who trusted Buck to knew what he was doing. I go there. Maria, be careful. Buck is furious. He brought a gun. The line was cut. Maria drove on the deserted highway with her hands trembling at the steering wheel. Houston's lights shone in the distance like fallen stars. On the radio, mariachi's music. His dad always said that Mexican music gave value. Virgencita, pro team. Protectance to all, asterisk. He arrived at work at 4:15 a.m. The reflectors turned construction into a theater of giant shadows. He could hear the roar of the machines, the metallic song of the beams being raised. Buck was on the 7th floor, directing the placement of a massive beam. His screams mixed with the noise of the equipment. Maria went up the outer stairs. His security shoes resonated as war drums. Buck, stop. His voice cut the night like a siren. The workers turned. The crane stopped at half movement, the beam swinging like a mortal pendulum. Buck saw her and her face became a mask of pure fury. I told you not to come back. That beam will collapse the wall, liar. But just when he shouted, a sinister crunch filled the air. The temporal wall began to crack. The weather stopped. 12 men looked up, watching 2 tons of steel swinging on their heads, sustained by a structure that disintegrated before their eyes. Maria did not think. He only acted. Everyone out. Leave the floor. His cry released panic. The men ran to the stairs like water looking for a drain, but Buck did not move. He stopped, looking at the crack that grew on his wall, finally understanding what he had done. The beam swayed more violently, and then everything collapsed. Crash. The sound was like the end of the world. 2 tons of steel crashed into the concrete, dragging pieces of wall and twisted metal. The dust rose like a storm cloud, blinding everything in its path. Maria covered her face, coughing, growled looking in the darkening. Buck. Buck. Silence. Only the echo of the disaster and the drip of a broken pipe. Then, a weak voice from the rubble. Here. I'm here. Maria followed her voice, climbing about pieces of concrete and twisted metal. His hands bleed, but he didn't care. He found Buck partially buried under a slab, but alive. I can't move my legs, he whispered. Don't move. Help is coming. Maria pressed her shirt against a wound on Buck's forehead. Luis called the paramedics. Sirens were heard in the distance. Buck looked at her with glassy eyes. The fury had disappeared, replaced by something that Maria had never seen in him, humility. "You were right," he murmured. "All the time, you were right." "Shoo, don't talk. Keep your energy." "No, I need to say it." Buck coughed, spitting dust. "I am a stubborn old man. I thought because I was a woman. I thought you didn't know." Tears left clean traces on their dirty cement face. "We all make mistakes," Maria said softly. "He almost kills my men. I could have killed you." The paramedics arrived as angels in uniform. While preparing Buck to move him, he grabbed Mary's hand. "The project," he murmured. "It's in your hands now. Do it well." "I will do that." "And Maria, yeah, that hammer, it's yours. You won it." When they took Buck in the ambulance, Maria stayed alone among the rubble. The sun began to rise on the horizon, painting the sky of pink and gold. Luis approached, loading the Buck hammer. "What are we going to do now?" asked. Maria took the hammer. He no longer felt heavy. He felt natural, as if he had always been his. "Let's build," he said. "But this time, we are going to do it well." The real job was just beginning. 6 months later, Maria stopped on the roof of the finished building, watching the Houston skyline extend to the horizon. The wind moved his hair, now shorter, more practical, while reviewing the last details on his tablet. "Chief," Luis climbed the stairs, carrying 2 cups of coffee. The inspectors ended. All approved, everything perfect. They said they had never seen a building with such high security standards. Maria smiled, accepting coffee. He was strong and sweet, as his grandmother liked. In his belt hung the Buck hammer, no longer shiny, but marked by months of honest use. He had become his favorite tool, not to demolish, but to build. "Do you know what day is today?" Luis asked. "Friday." "No, boss star. It's the day of Santa Teresa de Avila." Maria instinctively touched the rosary in her pocket, the same she had taken throughout the construction. "Grandma always said she protected strong women." "Your grandmother was wise." They went down to the lobby, where the reporters were waiting. The history of the hammer architect had reached the national newspapers. But Maria no longer felt intimidated by the cameras. During the interview, a young reporter asked him, "What does it feel to be the first woman to lead a construction of this size in Texas?" "I don't feel like the first woman," Maria replied. "I feel like a construction company that does her job." "And what would you say to other women who want to follow their steps?" Maria thought of Buck, recovering at home with a new perspective on life. He thought of all the men who now treated her as an equal. He thought of girls who might see this news and dream of building skyscrapers. "I would tell them not to be intimidated by heavy hammers," he said. "Because in the end, it's not about how much strength you have. It's about knowing where to hit." That night, Maria drove Austin back with the windows down, singing with the radio. In the passenger seat a manila envelope rested, the offer for his next project, a hospital in San Antonio. His phone rang. It was Buck. "Maria, I saw the news. You look good on television. How do you feel?" "Like new. Doctors say that in a month I can return to work." He paused. "If you accept me on your team." Maria smiled. "Are you sure you can work for a woman?" Buck laughed, a true laugh, without bitterness. Chief after what I saw with that hammer, I would work for you even in hell." "Well, good, because the next project is going to be a real challenge." "Which?" "A hospital. 20 floors. And guess what? It will need many hammers." Maria hung and continued driving towards the future, with the hammer in the back seat and a prayer of gratitude on her lips. In the distance, the lights of San Antonio shone as promises. His hometown was waiting for her. "And this time, I knew exactly where to hit." "A woman can't do this," Buck Morrison had said. Maria Hernandez had shown that a woman can do anything. "And you can do better."